Good morning. Here is today's word of blessings for you. Acts 8:1-8. And Saul approved of their killing him. On that day a great persecution broke out against the church in Jerusalem, and all except the apostles were scattered throughout Judea and Samaria. Godly men buried Stephen and mourned deeply for him. But Saul began to destroy the church. Going from house to house, he dragged off both men and women and put them in prison. Those who had been scattered preached the word wherever they went. Philip went down to a city in Samaria and proclaimed the Messiah there. When the crowds heard Philip and saw the signs he performed, they all paid close attention to what he said. For with shrieks, impure spirits came out of many, and many who were paralyzed or lame were healed. So there was great joy in that city. Today's title is Paradox of Christian Suffering. Christ went through so many sufferings despite his glory and power. He was hated by many although he was full of love and compassion. He preached the truth. But he was falsely accused and was crucified. Jesus said that such paradoxical sufferings will follow believers' life too. He said, "I am sending you out like sheep among wolves. Therefore be as shrewd as snakes and as innocent as doves. Be on your guard. You will be handed over to the local councils and be flogged in the synagogues. On my account, you will be brought before governors and kings as witnesses to them and to the Gentiles." Matthew 10:16-18. But the great mystery of the history of Christianity is that God often unfolded the greater grace of God through such suffering. The very crucifixion of Christ might be the best example of such paradoxical suffering. But it does not end there. In fact, the paradoxical suffering continues throughout the history of Christianity. Today's passage shows the unfolding of such paradox of suffering clearly. Stephen was brutally martyred despite his faithfulness and holiness. With Stephen's death, came the great persecution against the church in Jerusalem. The enemies of the church were all out to completely destroy the church and hunt down the believers. They were going from house to house. They dragged off both men and women and put them in prison. Believers couldn't stay in Jerusalem except for the apostles. They got all scared and scattered throughout Judea and Samaria. Then and there, the paradox of suffering began to unfold. We will see how it went in the following chapters of the book of Acts. Here we will suffice to see that such suffering indeed marked the beginning of the history-making Christian mission. The same paradox of suffering often applies to the personal lives of Christians. Many believers come to the Lord and are saved through suffering. We can almost say that there can be no true salvation without sufferings. Not only that, but Christians also spiritually mature in their faith through sufferings too. Bible so even says, "Do not be surprised at the fiery ordeal that has come on you to test you, as though something strange was happening to you. But rejoice inasmuch as you participate in the sufferings of Christ, so that you may be overjoyed when his glory is revealed." 1 Peter 4:12-13. What suffering are you going through now? How hard is it? Remember the paradox of suffering. I pray that we can confess to the Lord like Job. But he knows the way that I take. When he has tested me, I will come forth as gold. Job 23:10.